Welcome back. We're going to talk about strings. Each string has a specific tone, and obviously it's in a specific note. The first string, which is the bottom one, is a high E. Next one is a B, then a G, then a D, A, and low E. And those are the tunings of your open strings. All right, and again, a tuner is going to be really important. When you're playing guitar, you want to make sure that you're in tune at all times, because as I always say, that if you have a guitar that's out of tune, you could be the best player around and it's not going to sound good, and people will think less of your playing because your guitar is out of tune. You want to have perfectly tuned, and you also want to try to keep, as much as you possibly can when you're playing a song, the timing. That's very important. So tuning, timing, and also your environment is going to make a difference. For example, if you're playing and you're in a room that's got a fan and it's blowing, it's going to chop the sound waves and it will actually sound strange when you're playing. So you want to avoid playing under a fan. And it's the same thing, like, for example, when you try to talk into a fan, it sort of sounds funny. That will happen if you're playing under a fan that's spinning fast enough. You want to make sure that you're in tune, and you want to make sure that you're in time. So if you're playing in 4/4 time, you can use your left foot or your right foot to keep time, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then when you would count it is your foot, it would be down would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and you can keep time that way, and eventually that'll just be natural. You won't have to think of the timing. You'll just tap your foot. You're not looking to cause a beat or a rhythm. What you're doing is you're keeping time, because when you're practicing something and you want to play it with somebody else, the timing has to be right on for both people. So if one person learns the song and they're out of time and they don't realize it, you get together and you play the song, it won't go very well. Chords. Before we get to chords, frets. Mentioned this before. These are frets on the guitar. This is your fretboard. That's your inlays. These little circles with like little pearl-like looking things. All right. Fret 1, 2, 3. All right. So if you take a piano and you go to your E note and you go 1, 2, 3, you're going to get to a G. Well, sorry, it'll be 4, right? So open 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you hit the white and black keys, so you're going up the scale chromatically, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to come to a G. And so when you start on the second string down, which is actually, the 5th string from the bottom, so the 5th string, you're going to start open with an open A, and you go 2, 3, 4, that's going to be a C. So an open A on the piano, and you go 3 half steps up, that'll bring you to the C. And you can do that with each one of these strings. You can compare that to the piano, and then you'll know what the strings are. But there are charts that you can get online that will tell you what each fret note is when you place your fingers on them. But what I want to do right now is teach you 3 chords: G, C, and D. Those are very common chords that are used in many songs. And learning these and learning how to play them well will get you by, and you'll be able to play a lot of songs. So the first one is going to be a G. And you're going to take your 3rd finger, fingers number 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to take your 3rd finger and place it on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. So that's a G. We just talked about that before. The next string is going to be the 5th string, and you're going to use your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret. So this is going to sound like this, the 2 of them together. Now the next 3 strings down are open, meaning you're not placing your fingers on them, and they're just going to ring. So you're going to go. All right, now you got one more finger to put on and you've got your G chord completed. And that is your pinky, and you'll place that on the the high E on the 3rd fret. And that's your full chord. Alright, very simple. Next chord is going to be the C chord. You're going to take your 3rd finger, place it on the 3rd fret of the 5th string from the bottom. That's the A string. The next finger goes, your middle finger, 2nd finger, on the D string in the position of the 2nd fret. So hit those two together. Now for the C chord, the next chord is open. That's going to be a G string. So all 3 together. The next string is going to be your B string. That's your 2nd string. You're going to place your 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. And the last string, or should I say in this case, the 1st string is open. So when you have your fingers in this position, you play all of them together and you have your C chord. And your G chord. So you can practice those back and forth, C and G, C and G. Alright, now we're going to add the final chord. It's going to be a D chord. And as you've probably already guessed, that starts on the D string, which is the 4th string from the bottom. That's open. The next string that you're going to hit is going to be the next one down, and that's going to be your G string. You're going to put your 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. And that together sounds like this. The next string is the B string, and you're going to take your 3rd finger and place it on the 3rd fret of the B string. Together. And the final one is you're going to be on your 1st string, and you're going to place your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of that 1st string. And all together sounds like this. So you want to play those 3. Let's start with G, then go to C, and then to D. Back to G. Alright, and we can do this a number of times. What I mean by that is play your G string 4 times, and then go to C 4 times, and D 4 times. So it's going to sound like this. Once you've got that mastered, you can change it around and start on the C string, the C chord, and then next go to the D chord, and then to the G. Alright, let's try that from the beginning. You can do the D, the same thing 4 times on each one. D, G, C. You can change that back and forth. You can go G to C, then to D, and you can do 2 strums rather than 4 once you get a little bit more comfortable playing the chords. So just experiment with those different chords, and what you want to do is get your mind in tune with your fingers. Your mind knows where your fingers need to be, but the fingers don't go there so readily. So it just takes time for that to coordinate together. And you shouldn't have too much problems just picking, strumming down. You can use a regular pick, like this one here. I use a thumb pick because I like to do finger picking. I think it sounds so much better, and we can get into that a little later on. But you can just use a regular pick, you know, flat pick, and just and that'll be pretty easy to learn. But if you want to start off with a thumb pick, by all means do that. You'll get used to it, and it's so much nicer to play with a thumb pick because your guitar then sounds like a harp, and especially sounds good if you use, for example, a capo, which what it does is it raises your pitch. So I'm going to play it right here. Place it here. Now it'll tune. The guitar will need a little tuning. All right, that's pretty close. So I'm going to kind of pick a C, D, and a G. Okay, so you see how it raises the pitch and it makes it sound really pretty. And we'll get into some of that as well. And all of the chords that you learn, those 3 chords, G, C, and D, you can play them anywhere using this, and it'll actually, it'll change the chords, obviously. And so when you see sheet music with different chords, if you don't quite know how to play an A chord or an F chord, you can use a capo to compensate for that by using these same 3 chords all up and down the fretboard. And I think that's about it for now. Enjoy it. Practice often. Don't get your fingers too sore though. It'll defeat the purpose. Take care, and we'll see you next time.